So welcome everyone on this webinar on yoga for inner frenzy and stress burnout. So why this topic? Because stress is not just the physical symptom. It is something which is very much deep rooted in the psyche. That is why it is important to understand the concept of stress. It has been already defined in ancient texts. For example, like in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Patanjali has already described stress as klesha. Similarly, Buddha has described it as dukkha. So it is something very deep. And the whole science of yoga is to release an individual from these deep-rooted stresses that are stored into the deeper layers of our mind. So that's why this webinar is going to be very informative to improve our level of well-being and happiness. So let us move on. Understanding terms. Frenzy. What do we mean by frenzy? Frenzy is a state of mental and emotional agitation where our actions are disorderly and compulsive in nature. Mind, when it is flooded with emotions and there is turmoil inside to a degree that it can potentially disturb your daily actions. That is frenzy. And what is stress burnout? It is the exhaustion of physical and emotional strength due to recurring stress. When stress is coming to you again and again in different forms, slowly you start feeling depleted of energy. You will not feel interest in your work. You will feel continuous fatigue. There is this stage of stress burnout. Let us see some of these statistics. WHO says that depression and anxiety cost global economy are $1 trillion every year. According to Forbes, in 2020, the world was more sadder and angrier than it was in the past 15 years. So something very much important for us, that where we are heading. In India, 36% people are suffering from stress and declining mental health. So that's why it's important to understand the whole concept of stress, the mechanism of stress according to yoga, and how we can come out of it and benefit ourselves and also the entire world. So what is the concept of body, mind, according to yoga? Let us see. First, we'll see the concept of body according to the medical science or from the medical perspective. So we know that the basic elements at the time of creation, they come together like hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen. These elements coming together, joining in the form of atoms, and atoms combining together, becoming biological molecules, molecules coming together, becoming cells, and then tissues, cells into tissues, tissues coming together. They form organs, and when different organs come together, they make an organ system. And when all different organ systems, they work in communication with each other, then we say that there is a complete life. So this is the perspective of body according to the modern medical science. So what yoga has to say about the concept of body? Yoga says that you don't not only have the physical body, but you also carry 4 more subtle bodies. In total, there are 5 bodies known as Pancha Kosha. Pancha means 5 and Kosha means layer. As if there is a uh, kind of 5 layered existence of human being. What are those? Let us see. So these are the 5 faces of our personality. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. So yoga says that you are not just the physical body, but you have 4 more bodies. So Annamaya is the physical body that we have seen, the physical that we touch, we can see. That is the Annamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha is made up of prana. Prana, there is no concept of prana in medical science. Science does not believe in prana. So prana is the basic life force that is flowing inside us. Manomaya Kosha, next, subtle, third level of body. This Manomaya Kosha is the mental body. Then we have Vijnanamaya Kosha, the body of intellect, of knowledge. Then the Anandamaya Kosha, or the body of bliss. So let us see one by one. So Annamaya Kosha is the physical body made up of physical matter. This body which constitutes of different systems like muscular system, nervous system, all this is the physical body. And the yogic understanding of this body is that this physical body is made up of Panch Mahabhuta. In fact, everything physical in the universe is made up of 5 elements. We call it Panch Bhutas. These are the earth, water, fire, air, and space. Then we come to the Pranamaya Kosha. After Annamaya Kosha, the next subtler level of body is the Pranamaya Kosha. So what is prana? Prana is the basic fabric of whole creation. Means prana is the basic life force. All the movements across the universe, including the human body, whatever movements and action that is happening is because of the prana. The planets are moving, the galaxies are moving, the planets are rotating around the sun is rotating around some another galaxy. All these movements is because of the prana. That is why it is called the basic fabric of whole creation. Similarly, in our body, the air is going in and coming out. It's a movement. It's happening because of prana. The nerve impulse is traveling inside the body. It's because of prana. The blood is circulating. It's because of prana. So prana is responsible for the motion across the creation. That is why it is known as the life force. After Pranamaya Kosha, come to Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha, made up of mind. So what are the features of Manomaya Kosha? It is the body of will, means it is the seat of all our desires. Here there is emergence of likes and dislikes, cravings and aversions. Actions are governed by emotions. Emotions, they play a dominant role and they govern our emotions, not what the discriminatory capacity the man inside us says. The actions are not governed by the intelligence, but by emotions. And that is why actions are against cosmic laws. There is a cosmic law and order. So here actions are governed by our own fiction. We create our own fiction, imagination, our own reality, and then we go according to it. Here is the birth of stress-borne disease. So now it is very important. It's related to our topic, yoga for stress and inner frenzy. So this is the level of the beginning of stress. Are these Adi means stress-borne diseases. So this is very important that we have to remember. Then next comes the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Vijnanamaya Kosha is this sheep of wisdom. Here we have a sense of discrimination. Here we also have a sense of I-ness, that I am, that I exist, awareness of self. Actions are tuned with the cosmic laws. Here we don't commit any mistake because we are at higher level of awareness. There's no disease, no misery, no stress. There is complete mastery over ourselves. All the higher beings, they operate from Vijnanamaya Kosha. After Vijnanamaya Kosha, we come to the Anandamaya Kosha, the fifth and the last sheath of body. It is made up of bliss. Ananda means bliss. It is made up of bliss, knowledge, power, and freedom. There is complete freedom. Now you have transcended your physical, mental, and intellectual level. You're totally free. There's total health, no illness, absence of all miseries, total perfection, oneness, and transcendence. So these are the 5 bodies that we carry. This is the wisdom of yoga, the realization of yoga. So what yoga says about stress? Stress begins in the Manomaya Kosha. So we have seen that Manomaya Kosha is the seat of emotions, thoughts, imaginations, likings, dislikings, cravings, aversions, hatred, attachment. All such thoughts and emotions are stored or they emerge from the Manomaya Kosha. And when these thoughts and emotions they gather speed and momentum, they become very powerful, and we cannot stop their speed, we cannot stop their force, and our entire psyche, including our body, is governed by the impulse of the Manomaya Kosha, and we at this level, at this point of time, we are bound to commit mistakes which create more stress, more tensions, more misery, more pain in our life. So stress is the basic response pattern. This is the modern definition of stress now. What it says, that is the basic response pattern whenever you feel stress. Stress is the response pattern to any demanding situation. Whenever a demanding situation arises, physical demanding, mental demanding situation, our body reacts to it, body responds. And that natural response is known as stress. So there's no harm in this natural response. But when it is recurring again and again, then there is a problem, because whenever our body responds to a stress, our physiology changes. Physiological change happens. And if this physiological change is not restored to its previous balance, then problem happens. Then the new imbalance becomes the new normal. Entire system saturates at the new level of imbalance. And imbalance is stress, imbalance is misery according to yoga. It has to be balanced, everything has to be balanced. Once stress is there, and then it should pass away. And the entire body and mind should restore its original calmness, balance, and equilibrium. But when it occurs again and again, then the entire system saturates at the level of excitement, agitation, from where problem starts. So there are many factors of demanding situation. There are outside factors like office, you go to office for work. There can be multiple stressful situations, and family, financial problems there, then it can cause stress, natural calamities. We have just seen the calamity of health calamity, COVID problem, which created a lot of stress. And then there are internal factors also, like the targets and the ambitions that we set for ourselves. And then we enter into this race of achieving everything in life. So this all these factors, the outside and internal factors, they can create a lot of stressful situations. So we should know how to manage it. So whenever there is stress, there is a response from the body. And this response you can assess by yourself. At the level of psychology, at the level of mind, the alertness, your alertness over a period of time, when it is stress is recurring again and again. In the beginning, your alertness will improve, it will increase. But when the stressful situations is recurring again and again, then you start losing your alertness, your focus. You may become prone to what we say the attention deficit syndrome. At the physical level, the heart rate changes, the blood pressure changes, the respiratory rate goes up. There's change in the muscle tone, digestive system problems like indigestion. So all these are the physical response which we can assess by ourselves that we are now heading towards prolonged stressful conditions. So the concept of stress, let us summarize now here. It is a long-standing conflict between two minds. We have seen that Manomaya Kosha is the seat of emotions, thoughts, anxieties, likings, dislikings, and all such thoughts. And the Vijnanamaya Kosha is the seat of intelligence, the seat of knowledge. So when Manomaya Kosha is agitated, excited, is speeded up, it overpowers the Vijnanamaya Kosha. At the same time, Vijnanamaya Kosha is also telling you to take the right steps, take the right actions that will not cause misery to you. But Manomaya Kosha cannot listen to it. It cannot listen to Vijnanamaya Kosha. Vijnanamaya Kosha is higher. So what is happening? The lower body starts governing the entire personality of the human being. So here the problem starts. There is a long-standing conflict between Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. And this creates a lot of confusion and agitation inside us. And this agitation disturbs the pranamaya kosha, flow of prana inside the body. And when the flow of prana disturbs, that disturbance percolates to the physical body. And then finally, the disease manifests inside the body. And number of diseases, we call it psychosomatic ailments that can happen to any one of us. For example, hypertension, diabetes type 2, colitis, migraine, allergy problems, irritable bowel syndrome, sclerosis, and then arthritis. Many ailments can emerge slowly at the physical level if this conflict between the two minds is not resolved. So let us now talk about our brain, and we will relate it to what we have understand from the yogic perspective. What now the latest findings in the brain study has revealed. Let us see. The brain is divided into three levels. First is the vegetative level, the lowest brain, the brain stem level. This vegetative level is responsible for our survival needs, like respiration, digestion, functioning of the heart. These are all actions required for our survival. That is why it is known as vegetative level. Next is the limbic system. It is the seat or the repository of our emotions, thoughts related to emotions. Then we have the neocortical level, or the highest brain, known as the neocortex. It is responsible for high order, complicated thinking, analysis, discrimination. So the lower brain is the most ancient, oldest, deepest, and smallest brain of the entire brain. This is the smallest part. It is the mechanical brain. Its features are: it is obsessive, compulsive, rigid, ritualistic, and paranoid. So mechanical brain functions without our awareness. All these survival activities of respiration, digestion, elimination, these all happening continuously, 24 hours, without our awareness. So that's why it is known as the mechanical brain. It is the lowest part of the brain, the smallest part of the brain. Then we come to the limbic system. Limbic system consists of the emotions and instincts. It is also associated with the feeding. That's why it is also known as mammalian brain. Mammals feed their young ones. So when in the course of evolution, first there were reptiles. The lower brain is also known as the reptilian brain. From reptiles, mammals came into existence, and when mammals begin to develop, they also develop another additional part in the brain known as the limbic system, which has all the emotions related to the protection of the young ones, feeding them, and also fighting and fleeing. Instincts are also here in the limbic system. So constantly limbic system gives the signals of agreeable and disagreeable, favorable and unfavorable conditions. This type of signals it sends to us. Whenever we are agreeable, whenever we feel something is agreeable, we are happy. When something is disagreeable or unfavorable, then we are miserable. So continuously we are tossed up and down between favorable and unfavorable situations and conditions. And the next is the neocortical level. Neo means new. It is the newly developed part of our brain. Neocortex, the largest part of the brain, also known as the cerebral cortex or simply cerebrum. So this is the highest, newest, and largest and most sophisticated level of the brain. So neocortex separates human from all other species because except humans, no creature on the planet has this neocortex, or even if they have, it is very small in size. So its function is analysis, imagination, creativity, intuition, fluid learning, understanding, having solutions to the problems. It is the most resourceful area of our brain. If you are operating from here, you will never encounter any discord. You will always be part of solution. We can never be a part of problem. That is the power of cerebral cortex. From here, we perform at our peak level with complete intelligence and awareness. So sometimes what happens, this neocortex is hijacked by the limbic system. Because when the limbic system is full of emotions, agitation, it sends signal to the higher brain and it completely hijacks it. That now I am going to govern it. And when this limbic system gets activated and the lower parts of the brain gets activated, automatically we shift into survival mode. And when we are into survival mode, we function in the most primitive manner with fear, with anger, with irritability, with anxiety. And from here, the problem starts. So these deep areas start directing the higher brain. And higher brain cannot reject these signals because these signals are coming from the lower brain, which are the signals of survival. So higher brain is developed in such a way that it cannot ignore the message of survival, because over a period of evolution, the brain has been developed in such a manner that survival is the first thing. But in conditions of stress, when you have to think clearly and calmly, if survival instincts is becoming dominant, definitely it is unfavorable for you. So that's why, again, there is you can say the conflict between lower and higher is there. And this is known as the neurological catch-22. The higher brain cannot execute its functions, sophisticated functions, it cannot execute. At the same time, the lower brain is trying to hijack. There's a total confusion. So how to come out of this confusion? The answer is slow down, relax, calm down. That is what is meant by yoga. So we can always upshift from the negative unpleasant state to more resourceful pleasant state. On the level of stress, fear, anxiety, low productivity, frustration, we can always move to high productivity, peace of mind, sense of well-being. And what yoga says to this growth trajectory, it says we have to move from tamas to rajas to sattva. Tamas is nothing but darkness, inertia, stress, inaction. Rajas is principle of motivity, overaction, full of passion, full of desires. And sattva means calmness, clarity. So the definition of stress is very simple. According to yoga, yoga says stress is speed. It is the speeded up activity of your mind that is the root cause of stress. And this speed percolates into the body, and then your body rushes. You're doing a lot of activity, unnecessary activity from the body. Because unnecessary activity is happening in the mind, and that is percolating into the body, and the entire system is overspeeded. So what's the solution? Reduce the speed at all levels, at the physical level, at the pranic level, at the Manomaya Kosha level, at the Vijnanamaya Kosha level. At all levels, you have to relax, you have to calm. And for that, yoga is there. Yoga has total mastery over these 5 layers of body. It has understood it very deeply how they function, and has complete solution to each and every level of personality. So this is what yoga is. Yoga means the skill to calm down the mind, as Yoga says, Manaha Prashamanupaya Yoga. Yoga is the skill of slowing down. Just calm down the mind. Another definition that we get from Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which means yoga is to gain mastery over mind, mastery over modifications of mind. Modification means the thoughts, having total mastery over thoughts. Or it means that you know how to make your mind silent. Going into this silence is yoga. And similar definition we find in Bhagavad Gita, which says Samatvam Yoga. Yoga is equanimity, stability, balance, harmony, and equipoise. It can only happen when you feel totally relaxed and calm from inside. So that was the theory part. So here we discussed the entire mechanism of stress. So I hope you have got some really nice information of where it emerged, how it manifests inside us. So that was the session on yoga for stress. Thank you.